Okay, on this one, I'm gonna do the book, and then I'm gonna do some Quran at the end. I have a couple of videos I didn't finish up. Oh, we go pro.
And moving
Live.
forward,
Thank you.
Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court.
No pressure at all.
Chapter 12, Slow Torture. Straight off, we were in the country. It was almost lovely and pleasant in those sylvan solitudes in the early cool morning and the first freshness of autumn. From the hilltops we saw fair green valleys lying spread out below, with streams winding through them and island groves of trees here and there, and huge lonely oaks scattered about and casting black blots of shade. And beyond the valleys we saw the ranges of hills, blue with haze, stretching away in billowy perspective to the horizon, with at wide intervals a dim fleck of white or gray on a wave summit, which we knew was a castle. We crossed broad natural lawns sparkling with dew, and we moved like spirits, the cushioned turf giving out no sound of footfall. We dreamed along through glades and mists of green light that got its tint from the sun-drenched roof of leaves overhead, and by our feet the clearest and coldest of runlets went frisking and gossiping over its reefs and making a sort of whispering music, comfortable to hear, and at times we left the world behind and entered into the solemn great deeps and rich gloom of the forest, where furtive wild things whisked and scurried by and were gone before you could even get your eye on the place where the noise was, and where only the earliest birds were turning out and getting to business with the song here and a quarrel yonder and a mysterious far-off hammering and drumming for worms on a tree trunk away somewhere in the impenetrable remoteness of the woods. And by out we would swing again into the glare. About the third or fourth, fifth time that we sung out into the glare, it was along there somewhere, a couple of hours or so after sunup. It wasn't as pleasant as it had been. It was beginning to get hot. This was quite noticeable. We had a very long pool after that, without any shade. And now it is curious how progressively little frets grow and multiply after they once get a start. Things which I didn't mind at all, at first, I began to mind now. And more, too. All the time. The first 10 or 15 times I wanted my handkerchief, I didn't seem to care. I got along and said never mind. It isn't any matter, and dropped it out of my mind. But now it was different. I wanted it all the time. It was nag, right along and no rest. I couldn't get it out of my mind. And so at last I lost my temper and said hang a man that would make a suit of armor without any pockets in it. You see, I had my handkerchief in my helmet, and some other things, but it was kind of a helmet that you can't take off by yourself. That hadn't occurred to me when I put it there, and in fact I didn't know it. I suppose it would be particularly convenient there. And so now the thought of its being there, so handy and close by, and yet not get-atable, made it all the worse and the harder to bear. Yes, the thing that you can't get is the thing you want, mainly. Everyone has noticed that. Well, it took my mind off from everything else, took it clear off and centered it in my helmet. And mile after mile there it stayed, imagining the handkerchief, picturing the handkerchief, and it was bitter and aggravating to have the salt sweet keep trickling down into my eyes, and I couldn't get at it. It seemed like a little thing on paper, but it was not a little thing at all. It was the most real kind of misery. I would not say if it was not so. I made up my mind that I would carry along ridicule next time, let it look how it might, and people say what they would. Of course, these iron dudes of the round table would think it was scandalous and maybe raise shield about it. But as for me, give me comfort first and style afterwards. So we jogged along, and now and then we struck a stretch of dust, and it would tumble up in cloud and get into my nose and make me sneeze and cry, and of course I said things I oughtn't to have said. I don't deny that. I am not better than others. We couldn't seem to meet anybody in this lonesome Britain, not even an ogre. And in the mood I was in then, it was well for the ogre. That is, an ogre with a handkerchief. Most knights would have thought of nothing but getting this armor. But so I got his bandana. He couldn't keep his hardware for all of me. Meantime, it was getting hotter and hotter in there. You see, the sun was beating down and warming up the iron more and more all the time. Well, when you are hot, that way, every little thing irritates you. When I trotted, I rattled like a crate of dishes, and that annoyed me. And moreover, I couldn't seem to stand the shield slatting and banging. Now about my breast, now around my back, and if I dropped into a walk, my joints creaked and screeched in that wearisome way that a wheelbarrow does. And as we didn't create any breeze at that gate, I was like to get fried in that stove. And besides, the quieter you went, the heavier the iron settled down on you, and the more tons you seemed to weigh every minute. And you had to be always changing hands and passing your spear over the other foot. It got so irksome for one hand to hold it long at a time. Well, you know, when you perspire the way in rivers, there comes a time when you itch. You are inside, your hands are outside. So there you are, nothing but iron between. It is not a light thing, let it sound as it may. First it is one place, then another, then some more, and it goes on spreading and spreading. And at last the territory is all occupied, and nobody can imagine what you feel like, nor how unpleasant it is. And when it had got to the worst, and it seemed to me that I got not stand anything more, a fly got in through the bars and settled on my nose. And the bars were stuck and wouldn't work, and I couldn't get the visor up, and I couldn't shake my head, which was baking hot by this time. And the fly, well, you know how a fly acts when he has got a certainly. He only minded the shaking enough to change from nose to lip and lip to ear, and buzz all around in there, and keep on lighting and biting in a way the person already so distressed as I was simply could not stand. So I gave in, and got Alisande to unship the helmet and relieve me of it. Then she emptied the conveniences out of it and fetched it full of water, and I drank it and stood up, and she poured the rest down inside the armor. One could not think how refreshing it was. She continued to fetch and pour until I was well soaked and thoroughly comfortable. It was good to have rest and peace, but nothing is quite perfect in this life at any time. I had made a pipe a while back, and also some pretty fair tobacco. Not the real thing, but what some of the Indians use, the inside bark of the willow, dried. These comforts had been the helmet, and now I eyed them again, but no matches. Gradually, as the time wore along, one annoying fact was borne in upon my understanding, that we were weather-bound. An armed novice cannot mount his horse without help and plenty of it. Sandy was not enough. Not enough for me, anyway. We had to wait until somebody should come along. Waiting in silence would have been agreeable enough, for I was full of matter for reflection, and I wanted to give it a chance to work. I wanted to try and think out how it was that rational or even half-rational men could ever have learned to wear armor, considering its inconveniences and how they had managed to keep up such a fashion for generations when it was plain that what I had suffered today, they had to suffer all the days of their lives. I wanted to think out, and moreover, I wanted to think out some way to reform this evil for both people to let the foolish fashion die out. But thinking was out of the question in the circumstances. You couldn't think where Sandy was. She was a quite biddable creature and good-hearted, but she had a flow of talk that was as steady as a mill, and made your head sore like the drays and wagons in a city. If she had a cork, she would have been a comfort, but you can't cork that kind. They would die. Her clack was going all day, and you would think something would surely happen to her works by and by, but no. They never got out of order, and she never had to slack up for words.
It's really awkward.
She could grind and pump and churn and buzz by the week and never stop to oil up or blow out. And yet the result was just nothing but wind. She never had any ideas, any more than a fog has. She was a perfect blatherskite. I mean, for jaw, talk, jabber, but just as good as she could be. I hadn't minded her mill that morning on account of having the hornet's nest of other troubles, but more than once in the afternoon I had to say, "Take a rest, child. The way you're using up all the domestic air, the kingdom will have to go to importing it by tomorrow, and it's a low enough treasury without that."
What a douche. We'll wait this out, Mark. Cool. What a douche. My dude, you're more than a pain in the ass. So we'll wait this one out and let you get this out of your system, bitch. Cuss about it. We're not doing pulses now. Thank you. What a bitch. I'm not interested at all. Dude, get off my team. God damn. Dude, I don't need to do that. Military, you're a piece of shit. Get off. Oh man, you're a dumbass. Truly. Get off.
Enemy flag returned.
My dude, get the fuck away from me.
Enemy captured your flag. Defeat.
We're not doing the woods. Stop following the story and just play the fucking game. You're not involved. You're not involved with this. Problem I'm having. I'm getting real mad. That really just pissed me off. I promise you. You will regret that. I don't care about that. That's not what we care about. That's not what we care about. You know what I mean? So, you're more than a pain in the ass.
Okay. Chapter 13. Free men. Yes, it is strange how little a while at a time a person can be contented. Only a little while back when I was riding and suffering. What a heaven this peace, this rest, this sweet serenity in this secluded shady nook by this purling stream would have seemed, where I could keep perfectly comfortable all the time by pouring a dipper of water into my armor now and then. Yet already I was getting dissatisfied. Partly because I could not light my pipe, for though I had long ago started a match factory, I had forgotten to bring matches with me, and partly because we had nothing to eat. Here was another illustration of the childlike improvidence of this age and people. A man in armor always trusted to chance for his food on a journey, and would have been scandalized at the idea of hanging a basket of sandwiches on his spear. There was probably not a knight of all the Round Table combination who would not rather have died than be caught carrying such a thing as that on his flagstaff, and yet there could not be anything more sensible. It had been my intention to smuggle a couple of sandwiches in my helmet, but I was interpreted in the act, and had to make an excuse and lay them aside, and a dog got them. Night approached, and with it a storm. The darkness came on fast. We must camp, of course. I found a good shelter for the demoiselle under a rock, and went off and found another for myself. But I was obliged to remain in my armor, because I could not get it off by myself, and yet could not allow Alessandre to help, because it would have seemed so like undressing before folk. It would not have amounted to that in reality, because I had clothes on underneath, but the prejudices of one's breeding are not gotten rid of just at jump. And I knew that when it came to stripping off that bob-tailed iron petticoat, I should be embarrassed. With the storm came a change of weather, and the stronger the wind blew, and the wilder the rain lashed around, the colder and colder it got. Pretty soon, various kinds of bugs and ants and worms and things began to flock in and out of the wet and crawl down inside my armor to get warm. And while some of them behaved well enough and snuggled up against my clothes and got quiet, the majority were of a restless, uncomfortable sort, and never stayed still, but went on prowling and hunting for they did not know what, especially the ants, which went tickling along in wearisome procession from one end to me to the other by the hour, and are a kind of creatures which I never wish to sleep with again. It would be my advice to persons situated in this way to not roll or thrash around, because this excites the interest of all the different sorts of animals and makes every last one of them want to turn out and see what is going on. And this makes things worse than they were before, and of course makes you objurgate harder, too, if you can. Still, if one did not roll and thrash around, he would die. So perhaps it as well to do one way as the other. There is no real choice. Even after I was frozen solid, I could still distinguish that tickling, just as a corpse does when he is taking electric treatment. I said I would never wear armor after this trip. All those trying hours while I was frozen, yet was in a living fire. And you may say, on account of that swarm of crawlers, that some unanswerable question kept circling and circling through my tired head. How do people stand this miserable armor? How have they managed to stand it all these generations? How can they sleep at night for dreading the tortures of next day? When the morning came at last, I was in a bad enough plight, seedy, drowsy, fagged from want of sleep, weary from thrashing around, famished from long fasting, pining for a bath, and to get rid of the animals, and crippled with rheumatism. And how had it fared with the nobly born, the titled aristocrat, the Demoiselle Alexandre la Carlevoix? Why, she was as fresh as a squirrel. She had slept like the dead. And as for a bath, probably neither she nor any other noble in the land had ever had one. And so she was not missing it. Measured by modern standards, they were merely modified savages, those people. This noble lady showed no impatience to get to breakfast, and that smacks of the savage, too. On their journeys, those Britons were used to long fasts, and knew how to bear them, and also how to freight up against probable fasts before starting, after the style of Indian and the anaconda. As like as not, Sandy was loaded for a 3-day stretch. We were off before sunrise, Sandy riding and I limping along behind him. In half an hour we came upon a group of ragged poor creatures who had assembled to mend the thing which was regarded as a road. They were as humble as animals to me, and when I proposed to breakfast with them, they were so flattered, so overwhelmed by this extraordinary condescension of mine, that at first they were not able to believe that I was in earnest. My lady put up her scornful lip and withdrew to one side. She said in their hearing that she would as soon think of eating with the other cattle. A remark which embarrassed these poor devils merely because it referred to them, and not because it insulted or offended them, for it didn't. And yet they were not slaves, not chattels. By a sarcasm of law and phrase, they were freemen. 7/10 of the free population of the country were of just their class and degree. Small, independent farmers, artisans, etc., which is to say, they were the nation, the actual nation. They were about all of it that was useful, of worth saving, or really respect-worthy. And to subtract them would have been to subtract the nation and to leave behind some dregs, some refuse in the shape of a king, nobility and gentry, idle, unproductive, acquainted mainly with the arts of wasting and destroying, and of no sort of use or value in any rationally constructed world. And yet, by ingenious contrivance, this gilded minority, instead of being in the tail of the procession where it belonged, was marching head up and banners flying at the other end of it, had elected itself to be the nation, and these innumerable clams had permitted it so long that they had come at last to accept it as truth. And not only that, but to believe it right and as soon as it should be. To believe it right and as it should be. The priests had told their fathers and themselves that this ironical state of things, what? Just mayonnaise and... Yeah, I'll take a lettuce and tomato. Yeah. As many as I can eat. Yeah, 2 or 3, 4. The priests had told their fathers and themselves that the ironical state of things was ordained of God, and so not reflecting upon how unlike God it would be to amuse himself with sarcasms, and especially such poor, transparent ones as this, they had dropped the matter there and become respectfully quiet. The talk of these meek people had a strange enough sound in a formerly American ear. They were freemen, but they could not leave the estates of their lord or their bishop without his permission. They could not prepare their own bread, but must have their corn ground and their bread baked at his mill and his bakery, and paid roundly for the same. They could not sell a piece of their own property without paying him a handsome percentage of the proceeds, nor buy a piece of somebody else's without remembering him in cash for the privilege. They had to harvest his grain for him gratis and be ready to come at a moment's notice, leaving their own crop to destruction by the threatened storm. They had to let him plant fruit trees in their fields, and then keep their indignation to themselves when his heedless fruit gatherers trampled the grain around the trees. They had to smother their anger when his hunting parties galloped through their fields, laying waste the result of their patient toil. They were not allowed to keep doves themselves, and when the swarms from the Lord's devocate settled on their crops, they were not loose their temper and kill a bird, for awful would be the penalty be, and the harvest was at last gathered. Then came the procession of robbers to levy their blackmail upon it. First the church carted off its fat tenth, then the king's commissioner took its 20th, then my lord's people made a mighty inroad upon the remainder, after which the skinned freeman had liberty to bestow the remnant in his barn, in case it was worth the trouble. There were taxes and taxes and taxes and more taxes and taxes again, and yet other taxes, upon this free and independent pauper, but none upon his lord and baron of the bishop, none upon the wasteful nobility of the all-devouring church. If the baron would sleep unvexed, the freeman must sit up all night after his day's work and whip the ponds to keep the frogs quiet. If the freeman's daughter, but no, the last infamy of monarchical government is unprintable, and finally if the freeman groaned desperate with the tortures, found his life unendurable under such conditions, and sacrificed it and fled to death for mercy and refuge, the gentle church condemned him to eternal life. The gentle law buried him at midnight at the crossroads with a stake through his back, and his master, the baron or the bishop, confiscated all his property and turned his widow and his orphans out of doors. And here were these freemen assembled in the early morning to work on their lord, the bishop's road, 3 days each, gratis. Every head of a family and every son of a family, 3 days each, gratis, and a day or so added for their servants. Why, it was like reading about France and the French before the ever-memorable and blessed Revolution, which swept 1,000 years of such villainy away in one swift tidal wave of blood. 1. A settlement of that hoary debt in the proportion of half a drop of blood for each hogshead of it that had been pressed by slow tortures out of that people in the weary stretch of 10 centuries of wrong and shame and misery, the like of which was not to be mated but in hell. There were 2 reigns of terror, if we could but remember it and consider it. The one wrought murder in hot passion, and the other in heartless cold blood. The one lasted mere months, and the other had lasted 1,000 years. The one inflicted death upon 10,000 persons, the other upon 100 million. But other shudders are all for the horrors of the mind terror, the momentary terror, so to speak, whereas what is the terror of swift death by the axe, compared with lifelong death from hunger, cold, insult, cruelty, and heartbreak? What is swift death by lightning compared with death by slow fire at the stake? A city cemetery could contain the coffins filled by that brief terror which we have all been so diligently taught to shiver at and mourn ever, to shiver at and mourn over. But all France could hardly contain the coffins filled by that order and real terror, that unspeakably bitter and awful terror which none of us has been taught to see in its vastness or pity as it deserves. These poor, ostensible freemen who were sharing their breakfast and their talk with me were as full of humble reverence for the king and church and nobility as their worst enemy could desire. There was something pitifully ludicrous about it. I asked them if they supposed a nation of people ever existed who, with a free vote in every man's hand, would elect that a single family and its descendants should reign over it forever, whether gifted or boobies, to the exclusion of all other families, including the voters, and would also elect that a certain 100 families should be raised to dizzy summits of rank, and clothed on what offensive, transmissible glories and privileges to the exclusion of the rest of the nation's family, including his own. They all looked unhit, and said they didn't know. that they had never thought about it before, and it had never occurred to them that a nation could be so situated that every man could have a say in the government. I said I had seen one, and that it would last until it had an established church. Again they were unhit at first, but presently one man looked up and asked me to state the proposition again, and state it slowly, so it could soak into his understanding. I did it, and after a while he had the idea, and he brought his fist down and said he didn't believe a nation where every man had a vote would voluntarily get down in the mud and dirt in any such way, and that to steal from a nation its will and preference must be a crime, and the first of all crimes. I said to myself, this one's a man. If I were backed by enough of his sort, I would make a strike for the welfare of this country, and try to prove myself its loyal citizen by making a wholesome change in the system of government. You see, my kind of loyalty was loyalty to one's country, not to its institutions or its office holders. The country is the real thing, the substantial thing, the eternal thing. It is the thing to watch over and care for and be loyal to. Institutions are extraneous. They are its mere clothing, and clothing can wear out, become ragged, cease to be comfortable, cease to protect the body from winter, disease, and death. To be loyal to rags, to shout for rags, to worship rags, to die for rags. That is a loyalty of unreason. It is pure animal. It belongs to monarchy. Was invented by monarchy. Let monarchy keep it. I was from Connecticut, whose constitution declares that all political powers inherent in the people and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their benefit, and that they have at all times an undeniable and indefensible right to alter their form of government in such a manner as they may think expedient. Under that gospel, the citizen who thinks he sees the Commonwealth's political clothes are worn out, and yet holds his peace and does not agitate for a new suit, is disloyal. He's a traitor. That he may be the only one who thinks he sees this decay does not excuse him. It is his duty to agitate anyway, and it is the duty of the others to vote him down if they do not see the matter as he does. And now here I was, in a country where he had a right to say how the country should be governed was restricted to 6 persons in each 1,000 of its population. For the 994 to express dissatisfaction with the regnant system and propose to change it would have made the whole 6 shudder as one man. It would have been so disloyal, so dishonorable, such putrid black treason. So to speak, I was become a stockholder in a corporation where 994 of the members furnished all the money and did all the work, and the other 6 elected themselves a permanent board of direction and took all the dividends. It seemed to me that what the 994 dupes needed was a new deal. The thing that would have best suited the circus side of my nature would have been to resign the bossship and get up an insurrection and turn it into a revolution. But I knew that the Jack Cade or the Wat Tyler who tries such a thing without first educating his materials up to revolution grade is almost absolutely certain to get left. I had never been accustomed to getting left, even if I do say it myself. Wherefore the deal, which had been for some time working in its shape in my mind, was of a quite different pattern from the Cade-Tyler sort. So I did not talk blood and insurrection to that men there who sat munching black bread with that abused and mistaught herd of human sheep, but took him aside and talked matter of another sort of him. After I had finished, I had got him to lend me a little ink from his veins, and with this and a sliver I wrote in a piece of bark, put him in the man factory, and gave it to him and said, take it to the palace of Camelot and give it into the hands of Amas Le Poulette, whom I call Clarence, and he will understand, who I call Rick. He is a priest, then, said the man, and some enthusiasm went out of his face. How, a priest? Didn't I tell you that no chattel of the church, no bond slave of pope or bishop can enter my man factory? Didn't I tell you that you couldn't enter unless your religion, whatever it might be, was your own free property? Marry, it is so, and for that I was glad, wherefore it liked me not, and bred in me a cold doubt to hear of this priest being there. But he isn't a priest, I tell you. The man looked far from satisfied. He said, he is not a priest, and yet can read? He is not a priest, and yet can read, yes, and write, too, for that matter. I taught it myself. The man's face cleared. And it is the first things you yourself will be taught in that factory. I would give blood out of my heart to know that art. Why, I would be your slave. No, you won't. You won't be anybody's slave. Take your family and go along. Your lord the bishop will confiscate your small property, but no matter. Rick will fix you all right.
I'm your spark. Let me show you just what you're capable.
There we go, set the record straight. This is a sorrow which we have revealed and made its ruins obligatory and revealing a clear command of which you may be mindful. As for female and male, you 100 lashes. That's all I heard, 100 lashes. Blessed is the one who sits down the decisive authority to his servant, so that they may be a warner to the whole world. Allah is the one to whom belongs the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, who has never had any offspring, nor does he have a partner in governing the kingdom. He has created everything, ordaining it precisely. Yet they have been taken besides him gods who cannot create anything but are themselves created, nor can they protect or benefit themselves, nor can they control life, death, or resurrection. The disbelievers say this Quran is nothing but a fabrication which he made up with the help of others. Their claim is totally unjustified and untrue. And they say these revelations are only ancient fables which he has had written down, and they are rehearsed to him morning and evening. Say, O Prophet, this Quran has been revealed by the one who knows the secrets of the heavens and the earth. Surely he is all-forgiving, most merciful. And they say mockingly, what kind of messenger is this who eats food and goes about in marketplaces for a living? If only an angel had been sent down with him to be his co-warner, or a treasure had been cast down to him, or he had had a garden from which he may eat. And the wrongdoers say to the believers, you are only following a bewitched man. See, O Prophet, how they call you names, so they have gone so far astray that they cannot find the right way. Blessed is the one who, if he wills, can give you far better than all that, gardens under which rivers flow and palaces as well. In fact, they deny the hour, and for the deniers of the hour we have prepared a blazing fire. Once it sees them for a distance, they will hear it fuming and growling. And when they are tossed into a narrow place inside hell, chained together then, and there they will cry out for instance, destruction. They will be told, do not cry only once for destruction, today, but cry many times over. Say, O Prophet, is this better, or the garden of eternity which the righteous have been promised as a reward and ultimate destination? There they will have whatever they wish for, forever. That is the promise to be sought after, binding on your Lord. Watch for the day he will gather them along with what they used to worship besides Allah, and ask the objects of worship, was it you who misled these servants of mine, or did they stray from the way on their own? They will say, glory be to you. It was not right for others like us to take any lords beside you, but you allowed enjoyment for them and their forefathers for so long that they forgot your remembrance and became a doomed people. The doomed will be told, your gods have clearly denied your claims, so now you can neither ward off the punishment nor get any help. And whoever of you does wrong, we will make them taste the horrible punishment. We never sent any messenger before you, O Prophet, who did not eat food and go about in marketplaces. We have made some of you a trial for others. Will you not then be patient? And your Lord is all-seeing. Those who do not expect to meet us say, if only the angels were sent down to us, so we could see our Lord. They have certainly been carried away by their arrogance and have entirely exceeded all limits. But on the day they will see the angels, there will be no good news for the wicked, who will cry, keep away, away from us. Then we will turn to whatever good deeds they did, reducing them to scattered dust. But on that day the residents of paradise will have the best settlement and finest place to rest. Watch for the day the heavens will burst with clouds and the angels will be sent down in successive ranks. True authority on that day will belong only to the most compassionate, and it will be a hard day for the disbelievers. And beware the day of the wrongdoer will bite his nails and regret and say, oh, I wish I had followed the way along with the messenger. Woe to me, I wish I had never taken so-and-so as a close friend. It was he who truly made me stray from the reminder after it had reached me, and Satan has always betrayed humanity. The messenger has cried, "Oh, my lord, my people have indeed received this Quran with neglect." Similarly, we made enemies of every prophet from among the wicked, but sufficient is your Lord as a guide and helper. The disbelievers say, if only the Quran had been sent down to him all at once. We have sent it as such in stages, so we may reassure your heart with it, and we have revealed it at a deliberate pace. Whenever they bring you an argument, we come to you with the right refutation and best explanation. Those who will be dragged into hell on their faces will be in the worst place, and are now furthest from the right way. We certainly gave Moses the book and appointed his brother Aaron as his helper. We had ordered them go to the people who would deny our signs. Then we annihilated the deniers entirely. And when the people of Noah rejected the messengers, we drowned them, making them an example of humanity, and we have prepared a painful punishment for the wrongdoers. Also we destroyed Ad, Thamud, and the people of the water's pit, as well as many peoples in between. For each we set forth various lessons, and we ultimately destroyed each. They have certainly passed by the city of Saddam, which has been showered with the dreadful rain of stones, and they're not seen its ruins, but they do not expect me to be resurrected. When they see you, O prophet, they only make fun of you, saying, "Is this the one that Allah has sent as a messenger?" He would have almost tricked us away from our gods had we not been so devoted to them. But soon they will know, when they face the punishment, who is far astray from the right way. Have you seen, O prophet, the one who has taken their own desires as their god? Will you then be a keeper over them? Or do you think that most of them listen or understand? They are only like cattle, no more than that. They are astray from the right way. Have you not seen how your Lord extends the shade? He could have simply made it remain still if he so willed. Then we make the sun its guide, causing the shade to retreat gradually. He is the one who has made the night for you as a cover and made sleep for resting and the day for rising. And he is the one who sends the winds ushering in his mercy, and we send down pure rain from the sky, giving life to a lifeless land and providing water for countless animals and humans of our own creation. We certainly disperse it among them so they may be mindful, but most people persist in ungratefulness. Had we willed, we could have easily sent a warner to have every society. So do not yield to the disbelievers, but strive diligently against them with his Quran. And he is the one who merges the two bodies of water, one fresh and palatable and the other salty and bitter, placing between them a barrier they cannot cross. And he is the one who creates human beings from a humble liquid, then establishes for them bond of kinship and marriage, for your Lord is most capable. Yet they worship besides Allah what can neither benefit nor harm them, and the disbeliever always collaborates against their Lord. And we have sent you, O Prophet, only as a disbeliever of good news and a warner. Say, I do not ask you for any reward of this message, but whatever wishes, let them pursue the way to their Lord. Put your trust in the ever-living, who never dies, and glorify his praises. Sufficient as he is all aware of the sins of his servants. He is the one who created the heavens and the earth and everything is between in 6 days, then established himself on the throne. He is the most compassionate. Ask none other than all knowledgeable about himself. When it is said to them, prostrate to the most compassionate, they ask in disgust, what is the most compassionate? Will we prostrate to whatever you order us to, and if only drives them further away? Blessed is the one who has placed constellations in the sky, as well as radiant lamp and luminous moon. And he is the one who causes the day and the night to alternate as a sign for whatever desires to be mindful, to be grateful. The true servants of the most compassionate are those who walk on the earth humbly, and when the foolish address them improperly, they only respond with peace. They are those who spend a good portion of the night prostrating themselves and standing before their Lord. They are those who pray, our Lord, keep the punishment of hell away from us, for its punishment is indeed unrelenting. It is certainly an evil place to settle and reside. They are those who spend neither wastefully nor stingily, but moderately in between. They are those who do not invoke any other god besides Allah, nor take human life, made sacred by Allah, except with legal right, nor commit fornication, and whoever does any of this will face the penalty. Their punishment will be multiplied on the day of judgment, and they will remain in it forever in disgrace. As for those who repent, believe, and do good deeds, they are the ones who evil deeds Allah will change to good deeds. For Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. And whoever repents and does good has truly turned to Allah properly. They are those who do not bear false witness, and when they come across falsehood, they pass it by with dignity. They are the styrofoam. They are those who, when reminded of the revelation of their Lord, do not turn a blind eye or a deaf ear to it. They are those who pray, "Our Lord bless us with pious spouses and offspring who will be the joy of our hearts, and make us models for the righteous." It is they who will be rewarded with the elevated mansions in paradise for their perseverance, and will be received with salutations and greetings of peace, staying there forever, with an excellent place to settle and reside. Say it, O Prophet, you all would not even matter to my Lord were it not for your faith in him. But now you disbelievers have denied the truth, so the torment is bound to come. The Torah. The truth. The truth, you didn't believe me. Oh man, you didn't believe me. That's unfortunate. Nah, we're not doing styrofoam today, but thank you. Get that shit out. One step at a time. I don't remember where I'm at here. Oh, this was definitely the one. This is the Hebrew Bible. I don't want the Hebrew. Let's do the Mishnah. The Barakah. The Pia. The Barakah one. Okay, here we go. The beginning of the tractate Barakot, the first tractate in the first of the 6 orders of Mishnah, opens with the discussion of the recitation of Shema. As a recitation of Shema encompasses an acceptance of the yoke of heaven and all the mitzvot, and as such forms the basis for all subsequent teachings. The Mishnah opens with the laws regarding the appropriate time to recite Shema. I'll throw it down. I've never heard this, so this is where I'm at. I don't need you to do the Bible. It's its own thing. My dude, get the styrofoam. It's not you, that's the thing. I don't need all that. I appreciate it. Definitely in the right place. In the right place. Thank you. From when does one recite Shema in the morning? From when a person can distinguish between sky blue and white. Rabbi Eliezer says, from when one can distinguish between sky blue and leek green. Okay, I see how he did this. It's actually them. I see, I don't even know. I'm pausing. Making sure I'm in the right place. From when, that is, from what time does one recite Shema in the evening? From the time when the priest enters to partake of the teruma. Until when does the time of the recitation of the evening Shema extend? Until the end of the first watch. The term used in the Torah, Deuteronomy 6:7, the Torah, to indicate the time of the recitation of the evening Shema is Beka, when you lie down, which refers to the time in which individuals go to sleep. Therefore, the time for the recitation of Shema is the first portion of the night, when individuals typically prepare for sleep. That is the statement of Rabbi Elazar. The rabbi says, the time for the recitation of the evening Shema is until midnight. Rabbi Gamliel says, one may recite Shema until dawn, indicating that Beka is to be understood as a reference to the entire time people sleep in their beds, the whole night. The Mishnah relates that Rabbi Gamliel practiced in accordance with his ruling. There was an incident where Rabbi Gamliel's sons returned very late from a wedding hall. They said to him, as they had been preoccupied with celebrating with the groom and bride, "We did not recite Shema," he said to them. "If the dawn was not yet arrived, you are obligated to recite Shema." Since Rabban Gamliel's opinion disagreed with that of the rabbis, he explained to his sons that the rabbis actually agree with him, and that it is not only with regard to the halakha of the recitation of Shema, but rather wherever the sages say until midnight, the mitzvah may be performed until dawn. Rabban Gamliel cites several cases in support of his claims, such as the burning of fats and limbs on the altar, due to the quantity of offerings each day. So this is like a form of the monk. The priests were often unable to complete the burning of all the fats and limbs, so they continued to be burned into a night, as it is written. This is the law of the burnt offering. The burnt offering shall remain upon the pyre on the altar all night until morning, or the fire on the altar burn. Leviticus 6:2. And with regard to all sacrifices, such as the sin offerings and the guilt offerings, they are eaten for one day and night, although the sages state that they may be eaten only until midnight. By Torah law, they may be eaten until dawn. This is in accordance with the verse, "On the day on which it is offered must you eat. Do not eat it until the morning." Leviticus 7:15. If so, why do the sages say that they have been eaten only until midnight? This is in order to distance a person from transgression, as if one believes that he has until dawn to perform the mitzvah. He might be negligent and postpone it until the opportunity to perform the mitzvah has passed. From when does one recite Shema in the morning? From when a person can distinguish between sky blue and white. Rabbi Elazar says from when one can distinguish between sky blue and leek green. And one must finish reciting Shema until the end of the period when you rise, i.e. sunrise, when the sun begins to shine. Rabbi Yehoshua says one may recite the morning Shema until 3 hours of the day, which is still considered when you rise, as that is the habit of kings to rise from the sleep at 3 hours of the day. While there is a set time frame for the recitation of Shema, one who recites Shema from that time onward loses nothing. Although he does not fulfill the mitzvah of reciting of Shema at its appointed time, he is nevertheless considered like one who reads with Torah and is rewarded accordingly. Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel disputed the proper way to recite Shema. Beit Shammai say one should recite Shema in the manner indicated in the text of Shema itself. Therefore, in the evening, every person must recline on his side and recite Shema in fulfillment of the verse. When you lie down, and in the morning he must stand and recite Shema in fulfillment of the verse. When you rise, as it is stated, when you lie down and when you rise. And Beit Hillel say every person recites Shema as he is, and he may do so in whatever position is most comfortable for him, both day and night, as it is stated. And when you walk along the way, when one is neither standing nor reclining, if so, according to Beit Hillel, why has it stated, when you lie down and when you rise? This is meant to denote time at the time when people lie down and the time when people rise. With regard to this halakha, Rabbi Tarfon said, once I was coming on the road when I stopped and reclined to recite Shema in accordance with the statement of Beit Shammai. Although Rabbi Tarfon was a disciple of Beit Hillel, he thought that fulfilling the mitzvah in accordance with the opinion of Beit Shammai would be a more meticulous fulfillment of the mitzvah, acceptable to all opinions. Yet in so doing, I endangered myself due to the highwaymen who accost travelers. The sages said to him, you deserve to be in a position where you are liable to pay with your life as you transgressed the statement of Beit Hillel. The statement will be explained in the Gemara. Number 4. From the laws of the recitation of Shema itself, the Mishnah proceeds to discuss the blessings recited in conjunction with Shema. Here the order is established. In the morning, when reciting Shema, one recites 2 blessings beforehand. The first on the radiant lights, and the second this blessing of the love of Torah, and one thereafter, which begins with true and firm. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know where I'm at. True and firm. Thematic discourses. True and firm. A thematic discourse about none. A non-dejoti biku. The discourse. Okay, so the number 1, the discourse about Alavika. Thus I have heard, at one time unfortunate one was dwelling near Savati, at Anathapatinka, grounds and Jita's wood. Then the son Alavika, having dressed in the morning time, after picking up her bowl and robe, was entering Savati for alms. After walking for alms in Savati, and returning from the alms round after the meal, she approached the blind man's wood, seeking for seclusion. Then the wicked Mara, desiring to give rise to fear, terror, and horror in the nun Alavika, desiring to derive her out of seclusion, approached the nun Alavika, and after approaching, he addressed the nun Alavika with a verse. There is no escape from the world. Why do you try with seclusion? Enjoy the sensual delights. Do not be remorseful hereafter. Then it occurred to the nun Alavika, who is this, a human or a non-human, speaking this verse? Then it occurred to the nun Alavika, this is the wicked Mara, desiring to give rise to fear, terror, and horror in me, desiring to drive me out of seclusion, who speaks this verse. Then the nun Alavika, having understood this is the wicked Mara, replied with these verses to the wicked Mara. There is an escape from the world which I have attained through wisdom. You do not know the state, you wicked one, kin of the heedless. Sensual pleasures are like an axe. The constituent parts the block, that which you say is sensual delight, and that for me there is no delight. Then the wicked Mara thought, the nun Alavika knows me, and pained and depressed he vanished right there. Begone. Number 4. They may not conclude with a blessing. Number 5. It is a mitzvah by Torah law to mention with the exodus from Egypt at night. But somehow that the mitzvah was like phylacteries or ritual fringes, fulfilled only during the day and night at night. For this reason, it was decided the exodus from Egypt is mentioned at night, adjacent to the recitation of Shema. Rabbi Elazar ben Azara said, I am approximately 70 years old, and although I have long held this opinion, I was never privileged to prevail and prove that there is a biblical obligation to fulfill the accepted custom, Ravad, and have the exodus from Egypt mentioned at night. So Ben Zoma interpreted it homicidically, and proved it obligatory. Ben Zoma derived it as it is stated, that you may remember the day you went out of the land of Egypt all the days of your life. Deuteronomy 6:3. The days of your life refers to daytime alone. However, the addition of the word all, as it is stated in all the days of your life, comes to add nights as well. And the rabbis who posit that there is no biblical obligation to mention the exodus from Egypt at night explain the word all differently. The days of your life refer to the days of this world. All is added to include the days of the Messiah. But it's not. You kind of ruined my good time, didn't you? Not too happy. Chapter 24. The Lord shewed me, and behold, 2 baskets of figs were set before the temple of the Lord after Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and carried away captive Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and the princes of Jo, with the carpenters and smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babylon. One basket had very good figs, even like the figs that are very first ripe, and the other basket had very naughty figs, which could not be eaten. They were so bad. Then said the Lord unto me, What seest thou, Jeremiah? And I said, Figs, the good figs, very good, and the evil, very evil, that cannot be eaten. They are so evil. Again the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, Like these good figs, so will I acknowledge them that have carried away captive of Judah, whom I have sent out of this place into the land of Chaldeans for their good. Zoom in for me. For I will set mine eyes upon them for good, and I will bring them again to this land, and I will build them, and not pull them down, and I will plant them, and not pluck them up. And I will give them a heart to know me, and I am the Lord. And they shall buy me people, and I will be their God, for they shall return unto me with their whole heart. And as the evil figs which cannot be eaten, they are so evil. Surely thus said the Lord, so will I give Zedekiah the king of Judah, and his princes, and the residue of the Jerusalem, that remain in this land, and them that dwell in the land of Egypt. And I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach, and a proverb, and a taunt, and a curse in all places whither I shall derive them. And I will send the sword, and the famine, and the pestilence among them, till they be consumed from off the land that I gave unto them and to their fathers. Chapter 25. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 4th year of
I'm ready to play.
Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, that was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, the which Jeremiah the prophet spake unto all the people of Judah and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, From the 13th year of Josiah the son of Ammon, king of Judah, even unto this day, that is the 23rd year. The word of the Lord hath come unto me, and I have spoken unto you, raising early and speaking, but ye have not hearkened. Get the fuck off my goddamn property. And the Lord hath sent unto you all his servants the prophets, rising early and sending them. But ye have not hearkened, nor inclined your ear to hear. They said, Turn ye again now every one from this evil way, and from the evil of your doings, and dwell in the land of the Lord, hath given unto you and to your fathers forever and ever. And go not after other gods to serve them, and to worship them, and provoke me not to anger with the works of your hands, and I will do you no hurt. Yet ye have not hearkened unto me, said the Lord, that ye might provoke me to anger with the works of your hands to your own hurt. Therefore thus said the Lord of hosts, because ye have not heard my words, tool. Behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, said the Lord, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and I'll bring them against this land, against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them, and make them an astonishment, and a hissing, and perpetual desolations. Moreover, I will take from them the voice of myrrh, and the voice of gladness, the voice of bridegroom, the voice of bride, the voice of the millstones, the lamp, and the light of the candle. And this whole land shall be a desolation, and an astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. And it shall come to pass, when 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon, and that nation, said the Lord, for their iniquity, and the land of Chaldeans, and will make it perpetual desolations. And I will bring upon the land of my words, which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah hath prophesied against all the nations. For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds, and according to the works of their own hands. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel unto me, Take the wine cup of the fury of my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it, and they shall drink, and be moved, and be mad, because of the sword that I will send among them. Then took I the cup at the Lord's hand, and make all the nations to drink, to whom the Lord had sent me, to wit Jerusalem, and the cities of Judah, and the kings thereof, and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation, and astonishment, a hissing, and a curse, as it is this day. Pharaoh king of Egypt, and his servants, and his princes, and all his people, and all his mingled people, and all the kings of the land of Uz, and all the kings of the land of the Philistines, and Ashkelon, and Azza, and Ascalon, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom, and Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all the kings of Tyre, and all the kings of Zidon, and the kings of Isles which are beyond the sea, Dedan, and Tema, and Buz, and all that are in the utmost corners, and all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the desert, and all the kings of Zimri, and all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of Medas, and all the kings of north, far and near, and one with another, and all the kings of the world which are upon the face of the earth, the king Shash shall drink after them. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Drink ye, be drunken, and spew and fall, and rise no more, because of the sword which I will send among you. And it shall be, if they refuse to take the cup of time hand to drink, then shalt thou say unto them, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, He shall certainly drink. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name, and should ye be utterly unpunished, ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all inhabitants of the earth, said the Lord of hosts. Therefore prophesy thou against them all these words, and say unto them, The Lord shall roar from on high, and utter this voice from his holy habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation, shall give a shout, as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the ends of the earth, for the Lord hath a controversy. Okay, with the nations he will plead with the flesh, he will give them that are wicked to the sword, said the Lord. Thus said the Lord of hosts, Behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. And the slain of the Lord shall be at the day from one end of the earth and even to the other. And of the earth they shall not be limited, neither gathered nor buried, they shall be dung upon the ground. Howl, ye shepherds, and cry, and wallow yourself in the ashes, ye principal of the flock. For the days of your slaughter and of your dispersions are accomplished, and ye shall fall like a pleasant vessel. And the shepherds shall have no way to flee, nor the principal of the flock to escape. A voice of the cry of the shepherds, and howling of the principal of the flock shall be heard, for the Lord hath spoiled the pasture. and the peaceful habitation are cut down because of the fierce anger of the Lord. He hath forsaken his covert as a lion, for the land is desolate because of the fierceness of the oppressor and because of the fierce anger. Moving forward here, I think I left off with the discourse about the nuns, about Soma. Thus I have heard, at one time the fortunate one was dwelling near Savati at Anathapentika grounds in Jesus Wood. Then this nun Soma, having dressed in the morning time after picking up her bowl and robe, was entering Savati for alms. After walking for alms in Savati and returning from the alms round after the meal, she approached the blind man's wood to pass the day, and having entered blind man's wood, she sat down at the root of a certain tree to pass the day. Then the wicked Mara, desiring to give rise to fear, terror, and horror in the nun Soma, desiring to drive her out of concentration, approached the nun Soma, and after approaching, he addressed the nun Soma with the verse: that place which has been attained by the seer is hard to obtain. No woman with her two-finger wisdom is able to attain it. Then it occurred to the nun Soma, who is this, a human or a non-human, speaking this verse? Then it occurred to the nun Soma, this is the wicked Mara, desiring to give rise to fear, terror, and horror in me, desiring to drive me out of concentration, who speaks this verse. Then the nun Soma, having understood this is the wicked Mara, replied with these verses to the wicked Mara: what is to be made of womanhood when my mind is well composed, when knowledge exists, and right Dhamma has been set with insight? For whomever thinks thus, I am a woman or a man, or I am something other, deserve to have Mara speak to her. And then the wicked Mara thought, the nun Soma knows me, and pain and depressed he vanished right there. Chapter 2 of the Torah of the Beroshet. Barako, chapter 2. The first question discussed in the Mishnah is the question of intent. One who is reading the section of the Torah who comprised Shema in the time of the recitation of the morning or evening Shema arrived. If he focused his heart, he fulfilled his obligation and need not repeat Shema in order to fulfill his obligation. This is true even if he failed to recite the requisition blessings. Rabunu, Hananel, Abanishio, one may not interrupt the recitation of Shema. The Tanaim, however, disagree over how strict one must be in this regard. They distinguish between interruptions, between paragraphs and interruptions within each paragraph. At the breaks between paragraphs, one may greet an individual due to the respect that he is obligated to show him, and one may respond to another's greeting due to respect. And in the middle of each paragraph, one may greet an individual due to the fear that the individual may harm him if he fails to do so, and one may respond to another's greeting due to fear. This is the statement of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehudi says, there is distinction between greeting someone and responding to his greeting. In the middle of each paragraph, one may greet another due to fear and respond due to respect. In the breaks between paragraphs, one may greet another due to respect and respond with a greeting to any person who greets him, whether or not he is obligated to show him respect. And 2. As for what constitutes a paragraph, these are the breaks between the paragraphs. Between the first blessing and the second, between the second and the Shema, between Shema and the second paragraph. If you indeed heed my commandments, Vahia and Shemoah, between Vahia and Shemoah, in the third paragraph. And the Lord spoke Vaviomer, and between Vahomer and True Firm, that blessing that follows Shema. The rabbis held that each blessing and each paragraph of Shema constitutes its own entity, and treat interpretations between them as between paragraphs. Rabbi Yehuda, however, says, between Yomer and Emet, Yetzvi, Vetziv, which begins the blessing that follows Shema, one may not interrupt at all. According to Rabbi Yehuda, these must be recited consecutively, since the paragraphs of Shema are not adjacent to one another on the Torah, and they are not recited in the order in which they appear. The Mishnah explains their placement. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korah said, why, in the mitzvah of the recitation of Shema, did the portion of Shema precede that of Vahia im Shemoah? This is so that one will first accept upon himself the yoke of the kingdom of heaven, the awareness of God and God's unity, and only then accept upon himself the yoke of the mitzvah, which appears in the paragraph of Vihia in Shemoah. Why did Vihia in Shemoah precede Vayomer? Because the paragraph of Vihia in Shemoah is practiced both by day and by night, while Vahomer, which discusses the mitzvah of ritual fringes, is only practiced during the day. One who recites Shema and did not recite it in a manner audible in his own ear, either because he had inaudible or because he is deaf, fulfilled his obligation. Rabbi Yosef says he did not fulfill his obligation. One who recited Shema and was not sufficiently precise in his enunciation of his letters, Rabbi Yosef says he fulfilled his obligation. Rabbi Yehuda says he did not fulfill his obligation. One who recited Shema out of order, meaning he did not read the verses sequentially, he did not fulfill his obligation. One who recited and erred should return to the place in Shema that he erred. The primary issue in this Mishnah is the requisite degree of concentration reciting Shema. Laborers engaged in the work may recite Shema while standing atop the tree atop the course of stones in a wall under construction, which they are not permitted to do for the amid a prayer which requires intent of the heart. The Mishnah continues, a groom is exempt from the recitation of Shema in the first night of his marriage, which is generally Wednesday night, until Saturday night if he has not taken action and consummated the marriage, as he is preoccupied by concerns related to the consummation of the marriage. The Mishnah relates that there was an incident where Rabban Gamliel married a woman and recited Shema even the first night. His student said to him, "Didn't our teacher teach us that a groom is exempt from the recitation of Shema?" He answered them, "Nevertheless, I am not listening to you to refrain from reciting Shema, and in so doing preclude myself from the acceptance of the yoke of the kingdom of heaven for even one moment." He's making up rules as he goes. I'm not ready for this. The Mishnah relates another episode portraying unusual conduct by Rabban Gamliel. He bathed on the first night after his wife died. His students said to him, "Have you not taught us, our teacher, that a mourner is prohibited to bathe?" He answered them, "I am not like the other people. I am delicate. For me, not bathing causes actual physical distress, and even a mourner need not suffer physical distress as part of his mourning." Another exceptional incident is related, and when his slave Tavi died, Rabban Gamliel accepted condolences for his death as one for a close family member. His students said to him, "Have you not taught us, our teacher, that one does not accept condolences for the death of slaves?" Rabban Gamliel said to his students, "My slave, Tavi, is not like all the rest of the slaves. He was virtuous, and it is appropriate to accord him the same respect according to a family member." With regard to the recitation of Shema on one's wedding night, the sages said that if, despite his exemption, a groom wishes to recite Shema on the first night, he may do so. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says, "Not everyone who wishes to assume the reputation of God, fearing person may assume it, and consequently not everyone who wishes to recite Shema on his wedding night may do so." Do you need to prepare, ma'am? There's no wedding. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to play that game with you until there's actual... I'm definitely not going to take sloppy seconds here. The crumbs afterwards, which is kind of what it seemed like. I don't know what to tell you there. That's what you're talking about, the women. I've made it very clear. Anyway, Jeremiah chapter 26. Be very clear there. It's not cool. You do what you think you're gonna do. I'll be seeing you. Again, you may or may not. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, came this word from the Lord, saying, "Thus saith the Lord, stand in the court of the Lord's house, and speak unto all the cities of Judah, which come to worship in the Lord's house. All the words that I command thee to speak unto them, diminish not a word. If so be they will hearken, and turn every man from the evil way, that I may repent of the evil which I purpose to do unto them, because of the evil of their doings. And thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith the Lord, if ye will not hearken to me, to walk in my law which I have set before you, to hearken to the words of my servants the prophets, whom I sent unto you, both rising up early and sending them, but ye have not hearkened. Then will I make the house like Shiloh, and will make this city a curse to all the nations of the earth. Well, I'm not shy, dude. I'm not coming to you. That's kind of the problem there. You keep doing this thing where, like, we're going to do this. Empty threats. I hear you, but I don't, and I'm not coming to you. You keep doing this and that and making decisions like, hi, you can come to me. Hi, how are you? What do you need? It's just like that. I mean it. That's unfortunate that I was left behind, 37. It's kind of how I feel about it. So, fuck you. That's what I mean. You ain't coming with me, I know that. Little bitch. Think whatever you want. So the priests and the prophets and all the people heard Jeremiah speaking these words in the house of the Lord. Now it came to pass, and then Jeremiah had made an end of speaking all that the Lord had commanded him to speak unto the people. The priests and the prophets and all the people took him, saying, Thou shalt surely die. Why hast thou prophesied in the name of the Lord, saying, This house shall be like Shiloh, and this city shall be desolate without an inhabitant? And all the people were gathered against Jeremiah in the house of the Lord. When the princes of Judah heard these things, then they came up from the king's house unto the house of the Lord, and sat down in the entry of the new gate of the Lord's house. Then spake the priests and the prophets unto the princes and to all the people, saying, This man is worthy to die, for he hath prophesied against this city, as ye have heard with your ears. Then spake Jeremiah unto all the princes and to all the people, saying, The Lord sent me to prophesy against the house and against the city all the words that ye have heard. Therefore now amend your ways and your doings, and obey the voice of the Lord your God, and the Lord will repent of the evil that hath pronounced against you. As for me, behold, I am in your hand. Do with me what seemeth good and meet unto you. But know ye for certain that if ye put me to death, ye shall surely bring innocent blood upon yourself, and upon this city, and upon the inhabitants thereof. For of a truth the Lord hath sent me unto you to speak all these words in your ears. Then said the princes and all the people unto the priests and to the prophets, This man is not worthy to die, for he hath spoken to us in the name of the Lord our God. Then rose up certain of the elders of the land, and spake to all the assembly of the people, saying, Micah the Morashite prophesied in the day of Hezekiah, king of Judah, and spake to all people of Judah, saying, Thus said the Lord of hosts, Zion shall be plowed like a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house of the high places of the forest. Did Hezekiah king of Judah and all Judah put him and all to death? Did he not fear the Lord, and besought the Lord, and the Lord repented him of the evil which he had pronounced against them? Thus might we procure great evil against our soul. And there was also a man that prophesied in the name of the Lord, Urijah, the son of Shemiah, of Kirjathjearim, who prophesied against the city and against the land according to all the word of Jeremiah. And when Joachim the king with all his mighty men and all the princes heard his word, the king sought to put him to death. And when Urijah heard it, he was afraid and fled and went into Egypt. And Joachim the king sent men into Egypt, naming Elnathan, son of Achbor, and certain men with him into Egypt. And they fetched forth Urijah out of Egypt, and brought him into Joachim the king, and slew him to the sword, and cast his dead body into the grave of the common people. Nevertheless, the hand of Hakim, the son of Shaphan, was with Jeremiah, and they should not give him to the hand of the people to put him to death. I don't know those people. There's a lot of, I feel like, frantic going on. Solomon, what's going on there? I think it's all Solomon and David. Chapter 3. Barako. Barracuda? Barracuda. One whose deceased relative is laid out and unburied before him is exempt from the recitation of Shema, from the Amida prayer, and from the mitzvah to dawn, phylacteries, as well as all positive mitzvot mentioned in the Torah until the deceased has been buried, with regard to the pallbearers and the replacements of the replacements, those located before the bier and have not yet carried the deceased, and those located after the bier. Those who are needed to carry the bier are exempt from reciting Shema, while those who are not needed to carry the bier are obligated to recite Shema. However, both these and those are exempt from reciting the Amida prayer, since they are preoccupied and unable to focus and pray with the appropriate intent. After they buried and deceased and returned, if they have sufficient time to begin to recite Shema and conclude before they arrive at the row formed by those who attended the burial, through which the bereaved family will pass in order to receive consolation, they should begin. If they do not have sufficient time to conclude reciting the entire Shema, then they should not begin, and those standing in the row, those in the interior row directly before whom the mourners will pass and who will console them, are exempt from reciting Shema, while those in the exterior row who stand there only to show their respect are obligated to recite Shema. Women slaves and minors are exempt from the recitation of Shema and from phylacteries, but are obligated in prayer, mezuzah, and grace after meals. Ezra the scribe decreed that one who is ritually impure because of a seminal emission may not engage in matters of Torah until he has immersed in a ritual bath and purified himself. This halakha was accepted over the course of many generations. However, many disputes arose with regard to the Torah matters to which it applies. Regarding this, the Mishnah says, if the time for the recitation of Shema arrived and one is impure due to seminal emission, he may contemplate Shema in his heart, but neither recites the blessings preceding Shema nor the blessings following. Over food which, after partaking, one is obligated by Torah law to recite a blessing, one recites a blessing afterward, but one does not recite a blessing beforehand, because a blessing recited prior to eating is a requirement by rabbinic law. And in all of these instances, Rabbi Yehuda says he recites a blessing beforehand and thereafter in both the case of Shema and in the case of food. This Mishnah contains various statements with regard to individuals' different types of ritual impurity, as well as the need to distance oneself from filth and impurity. One was standing in prayer, and he recalled that he experienced a similar emission, and according to the opinion he is prohibited from praying, should not interrupt his prayer. Rather, he should oblige each individual blessing. They stated a general principle. One who descended to immerse himself, if he is able to descend over himself with a garment and recite this morning Shema before sunrise, he should ascend, cover himself, and recite Shema, and if not, he should cover himself in the water and recite Shema there. He may not, however, cover himself in either foul water or water in which flax was soaked until he pours other water into it. And, in general, how far must one distance himself from urine and feces in order to recite Shema? At least 4 cubits. Continuing the earlier discussion of the halakha, immersion of a Torah, study and prayer for one who experienced a similar emission, the Mishnah discusses a case where individuals who are already impure with a severe form of ritual impurity are exposed to the impurity of a similar emission as well. They are required to immerse themselves and purify themselves of the impurity of the similar emission, even though they remain impure due to the more severe impurity. Consequently, even a Zav, whose impurity lasts at least 7 days, who experienced a similar emission, for which were he not a Zav, he would be impure for only 1 day. And menstruating women who discharge semen, despite the fact that she is already impure with a severe impurity, unaffected by her immersion, and a woman who engaged in conjugal relations with her husband and later saw menstrual blood, all require immersion, and Rabbi Yehuda exempts them from immersion. That's where I need a wife right now, you know? Set the record straight. No, don't come in afterwards through your computer. Oh, that's unfortunate. Whatever opinion you have. Keep it to yourself, thank you.